Welcome to the Social Media Church podcast. Today we are talking about Instagram. Instagram is the social network of 2015 and continuing to grow in 2016. It's a good day for Instagram, in my opinion. Jay, welcome to the show. What do you think?
Yeah, I know we're going to touch briefly on Snapchat because they just released some changes as well. But yeah, it's interesting because there was this huge panic this last week and a half on Instagram, and it's kind of like it doesn't even make.
Social media is like the church.
Yeah.
Kind of change, and it's like mass panic.
No, I can't handle it. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's hilarious. I didn't even know about it, and I started seeing the whole. This was the pot, and I'm not trying to be sexual here, but the post over and over again on Instagram was "turn me on," and it was pointing up to the upper right-hand corner on Instagram. So you had this photo, and it was pointing up, "Turn me on." I kept on seeing these photos and these graphicals, and I was like, "What is going on? Is it like some kind of national day that I'm unaware of?" and then all of a sudden, I realized that there was this uproar about Instagram changing its formula on what you see. So no longer is it time sensitive. It's going to be based off what you like. And then we find out it's not even happening yet.
Yet is the key word.
Yeah.
Now the nice thing, and because Facebook and Instagram are one, and Instagram is owned by Facebook, they have likely learned. Facebook is often known for making changes and never telling anyone, and so you just see it show up one day. Instagram is kind of giving everyone a heads up of what's coming. And so, I'll summarize it to say that Instagram learned from Facebook. What really set Facebook apart from MySpace when MySpace was dying is the newsfeed. Facebook built an algorithm to show us exactly what we want to see, or at least what they think we want to see. And I think they've done a pretty stinking good job of that. Filtering out our news feed and getting the junk out so we don't see everything but seeing the most important things. And Instagram is moving in the same way. And I think it's perfect timing for Instagram because I feel like I see my feed and it's getting cluttered, more and more cluttered. And so you kind of see an algorithm system being built into Instagram now that is going to help us to see the things that they think we're going to most likely see. Probably better keep our attention by doing it. What are your thoughts on the actual changes?
It's weird that, and I found myself that I really like having less followers on Instagram. Like, I feel like Instagram for me has become a more intimate channel, the same way Snapchat has a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Twitter is more networking. Facebook has become a little bit more broad for me because I have just so many friends now on there that I don't even know part of ministry that I just have people find me and I confirm everyone. And so it's kind of like with LinkedIn with me. I go in there and I just confirm. Every time I log in a couple of weeks, I got like 25 people. And it just, Instagram, I've just kept it more quiet. Part of it is because it's harder to links and stuff in there don't work as well. And so it kind of just naturally makes it, I feel like, a little bit more intimate. People tend to be one of the few channels that people actually are private on. Nobody uses the private stuff on Twitter.
Right.
And I don't even know if that still exists. But for me, Instagram, I like having, I actually unfollow people on Instagram. So I kind of like the idea that I go on there and I can kind of go back to all the posts of the day. I have found, when I first heard about this change, at least the fake change that's not happening yet, I was like, oh, wow, I have a natural 10 when I go in there. I kind of scroll back and I see everything. And because I don't follow that many people, I can do that. And or because my friends that are at least on there don't post as much. And so I naturally didn't like the idea of the change, but I will say that it for all intents and purposes, it probably will allow for growth more. And how they do it, I probably will like it. And so I'm actually more excited about the change that they're upping their video length, potentially to 60 seconds. I like that. I think I think it's 15 seconds now or something, 20 seconds. I like that because the people that really thrive on there, I follow a lot of short video stuff and I really like how they do it, but it's a little too short for me. I don't know. What are some things? Do you like the newsfeed potential change? Or I know you mentioned it briefly. I mean, but do you really like it?
I really do like it. I mean, and maybe I get a little bitter about how much people complain about change, because I remember when Facebook started making some changes and people would post things like, I'm so upset about the free platform that Facebook created for me to communicate with my friends, and now they're ruining it. I think Instagram is the same way. Like, their goal is not to ruin it. Their goal is to create a better experience. And I love when people use kind of smart technologies and really insightful, kind of the artificial intelligence type systems to create a better experience. I think what Facebook has done in such a genius way is show us advertising without it feeling like advertising to us and annoying us. Because you go to websites and you see all those ads all over the place, and it just becomes more and more annoying the more ads they add. And Facebook has really done it in a way that isn't annoying and isn't overwhelming. And I think Instagram is doing the same thing. They're increasing our experience as the platform is growing. It gets more cluttered. That's going to happen. So they need to simplify it in a way and allow us to do things like favorite, somebody, or subscribe, or whatever language they might create. You choose, what you want to be in your feed all the time, and you choose what you don't want to be in there all the time. But you still might want to follow them. You still might want to be connected there. So I think it's a great move. I love to Instagram ads, the way that they're building that platform out, the way you create them through Facebook. But one of the challenges on Instagram is that you can't really have clicks within an ad.
Yeah.
And so you have to then have, say, go to my profile, click the link, things like that to have a call to action within any kind of, post that you're making, wanting them to go to a website or do a blog post. And so by having the new ad platform now, that makes ads clickable or post clickable within the feed. And so I think they're integrating ads in a really smart way. I think they're optimizing the feed in a smart way. I just like the steps they're taking to really respond to their growth and set themselves up to be a platform that's going to be solid for a long time.
Yeah, and regardless, Instagram, what they do very well. Obviously, when you're approaching all these channels, the whole language is posting native to whatever makes that channel great. And what I've always loved about Instagram is that it's a visual platform. It's very simple to understand the content. So I think churches struggle on that sometimes because they want to get very wordy. They want to get sometimes a little ad copy, kind of heavy. And I think it's definitely a channel that forces you to be simple. And so the idea of like, how are you going to promote your event? You're going to promote it with, a photo with people in it, or you're going to, have some artistic turn on it. I think the church overall should watch more of the people that are getting a lot of likes and doing very well, because on that platform, it's so visual. And, I don't overuse this word, but that millennial driven kind of interaction of understanding how to be clean and to be, simple. I also think Instagram is one of the better channels that have also gone out of work. And I always find it interesting when secular organizations do this, but they've gone at quite a hard job at trying to block a lot of porn and stuff on there, which I've enjoyed that idea that they care about that. Facebook inherently doesn't have it because it's all friend to friend, but on any platform that you're connected to everybody through a search or a hashtag, they go out of their way to block stuff. And I think that's also a good sign that they care about that. And I always wonder on the justification of that, outside of just, wanting kids on there and wanting to protect it. But I've enjoyed that. I do think the ads are good. It's still weird when you click out to another browser. I always find that. I always have problems. I don't know about you, on Facebook, when I click and they try to load the browser in Facebook's browser, it always is a little janky to me.
It is.
Is it for you too? So,
especially in the mobile. For whatever reason, in the mobile app, when I click a link in there, it just functions funny. So
it's always ESPN for me. I click on some ESPN story and it's like, oh man, I want to know what the heck is going on. So so I think what overall Instagram knows what it's doing. It's a fun platform. It's definitely become it's like my core, I would say, one of my core platforms. The other one is obviously Snapchat. So Snapchat released this big update much needed, much needed update, honestly, because I found like they've exploded, obviously,
Right.
but it also like I found a lot of load issues. Like stuff is just kind of like lagging a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, I'm gonna knock. Maybe my Wi-Fi is just down. I don't know. I don't. You never know with that stuff. But have you gotten the opportunity to mess around with Instagram since they update, or have you even updated?
With Instagram or
No,
Snapchat?
I'm sorry. Snapchat. Sorry, I need to drink more of
Snapchat.
my.
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, I just updated it last night, and I've been playing with it a little bit last night and a little bit this morning, and it's interesting. I think you can see Snapchat almost intentionally creating ways for teenagers to do sketchy things. They're like, oh, teenagers are going to want to FaceTime without their parents knowing they're FaceTiming. Let's create that in Snapchat in the back end where parents can't figure it out. But the way that they've kind of built it in, and it's pretty. Yeah, I don't know if I'd say intuitive, but it's almost kind of fun the way that you can make somebody's video bigger or smaller, or you can let them have a video and you just have audio, or you just chat and type. It gives you a lot more functionality than FaceTime does or some of the others, and so it fits into the fun aspect of Snapchat. I mean, I think that's the sweet spot of Snapchat is the filters, the stickers. I mean, even in the new messaging platform, a lot of emoji integrations. They just bought Bitmoji, and so if you haven't used Bitmoji, it's a fun new app where you create your own, kind of character. Kenny Jang has been. I think he sends me about 7 of them a day of his own Bitmojis.
Is that the one Colbert used? He created the Trump.
Maybe
no, he created the Colbert, and it's like one eyebrow raised. Anyways,
interesting. Yeah, so Bitmoji's exploding. It's in the top 20 apps, I think, right now. Snapchat just acquired them though, so it's interesting to see what they're going to do with it. But they just have fun. It's a Snapchat is having fun. They made a messaging app that, FaceTime is functional. Snapchat's messaging is going to be more personal and fun. It's not smooth though, in trying to do it and how it works. I'm eager to see how that will play out.
Well, I saw this change on Facebook too, because ultimately, obviously, like our phones are computers, obviously, duh. Yep. But you've seen this change that like one of the big last holds on everybody is that we have to have a cellular phone for like connection on some level, like because of Wi-Fi. And so obviously the Wi-Fi thing is being spread more and more out, but that's probably a 10-year stretch of where Wi-Fi is just everywhere, and or they figure out, obviously with cars now having Wi-Fi, some cars, there's ways that you can get around your personal hotspot. But it was interesting because I saw Facebook updated their messaging app so that you can have like missed calls and you can like catch them. So the messaging app almost is like they're trying to provide a way for it to, and I don't know what their master plan is, obviously, but it's almost like they're trying to make it so that you can have logs, and almost like maybe if you had a if you just had a iTouch or something, you can still treat it as a phone almost. And then then Snapchat's change almost felt like, and I read a couple stories about this, that they're making the video to audio interactions higher, and almost like, could they make a move where they go for the phone market in some way of like, for the millennial, like the idea is that like, hey, you don't need a phone, you can just use Snapchat for this. Obviously there would need to be a lot of changes, but it feels like that is one play that like, is AT&T, is Verizon, or are these networks still going to exist the way that they exist now in the coming, decades? Like ultimately what happens to the cellular network? And so it feels like some of these platforms are almost setting themselves up to have an alternative if, Wi-Fi is no longer really an issue. And so I don't know. I really like the changes. It felt really strategic on that deal. I know that I've used one time the real time interaction. So if you're both in a private chat, I think it's actually you and I did it. Right. Where like if you're both in a private chat, it lights up blue, and then you can hold down and you could talk. That's janky, but they were saying that a lot of the updates deal around that. So
yes, exactly.
Anyways, so it's interesting. I think regardless, churches, I think you need to be familiar with it. I do agree that it is still really sketchy, the things that they allow you to do, or it's weird. You know, I was talking to a friend's daughter, and you know, she was using it, and I was just thinking like, man, I mean, I trust the friend's daughter, but I'm just like, I don't know if like I would allow my daughter on Instagram or Facebook way before Snapchat. I mean, just at the end of the day. So it's just so interesting. I think the church just needs to be aware of the updates, especially every update is a good insight on where the organization is thinking the world is going. So it's helpful.
Yeah. You know, you know, two things I think for us to look at both of these platforms that's important is understanding that a lot of these updates have to do with ads. And their ad platforms. And I think people don't like to think about ads, and they're like, oh no, advertising, it's going to be annoying. So Snapchat ads, if you're not seeing them already, if you're paying attention to Snapchat, you'll see them pop up as you read stories sometimes in their short videos that are integrated in. It's not open where you and I can run ads yet, but you're going to see that more and more. But one of the other updates Snapchat made is when you finish somebody's story, watching somebody's story, automatically starts playing the next person's story, and it's just kind of this endless cycle of you know, a play, you know, where you can just, and they're just trying to capture your attention all the time. They want you to live within Snapchat, and at the end of the day, from a financial model, the longer you're in Snapchat, the more ads they can deliver to you. And the more money they can make. And so I think it's a good business model. And I think where we win in that is when Snapchat makes money, or when Instagram makes money, or when Facebook makes money, they're able to develop further, and they're able to create more. And that's where we know it's a lasting platform. That's why we know Facebook isn't going to disappear. Twitter is still struggling with their monetization. And that's why they've kind of fluctuated, I think, in many ways, is they can't innovate at the pace they want to because they don't have the financial infrastructure to continue to, where Facebook figured out ads. They figured out their revenue model to where they're able to really continue to grow the platform and do. I mean, they can function so fast with Facebook Live and some of these other functions. And so as Snapchat does the same thing, and as Instagram does the same thing, I think we're going to see these platforms just mature. And I think maturity is a good thing with these technologies, and they can really enhance them. I'm really curious to see where Snapchat is going to go. If they, you know, you see more and more adults getting on there. I at the end of the day, what I love about it is it's just fun. You know, I'm seeing more and more annoying people, probably like myself, that have, you know, an agenda on there. They want them to buy their book, or they want them to sell, you know, buy their, you know, network marketing stuff. And I think there's a place for that on these social networks. But at the end of the day, I think we love seeing our friends. We love hearing their stories. We love following what's going on in their lives. And Snapchat just does it in a really fun way. And so I think it's a cool platform.
I can't tell you how many like people, and the guy who has like the suit he bought down the store, he's like, the 7 ideas that got me a millionaire. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I've seen so much more of that junk that I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm always like, am I that guy? Like I was like I always ask that question anyways. Yeah. I'm not a millionaire, but regardless of the facts.
Be that guy.
So if you're interested deeper into as you snap, if you're interested in going deeper into Instagram, we actually covered this in a full section of our full course. And we give out recommendations on who to follow, some easy tips. Check out the Social Media Church course. Also, we have a dedicated course if you don't want to buy the full course. Full course is like 6.5 hours. If you only want to buy the one course of Snapchat, it's only $5 right now. And so you can go to socialmedia.church. There's a university link. Click out. For any future show recommendations, visit the SMC podcast. And thanks so much for listening.